Welcome back to another week of Psych Thoughts. If you're one of our frequent watchers / listeners, you've got to find some hobbies. Quarantine isn't good for you. It will be okay. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Share it with people you like. Share it with people you don't like. Doug and I have said all along, we don't mind being the fruitcake of any of your gifts that you would like to be. So you can re-gift us. That will be great. We make a fun drinking game on occasion as well. I'm Derrick Edwards. Joining me is my best friend and colleague, co-host of Psych Thoughts, Doug Hensley. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing good, Derrick. It's good to see you. I mean, in your little box, that is, and everything. So
I've decided I don't know that I can handle the world outside of a box, so I'm probably just going to stay boxed in. Just forever, just draw this around me. I think it'll be great. Those of you who are avid followers of our show, again, hobbies are good for you, but you recognize someone else on our screen, our intern, meaning we don't have to pay her, even though she graduated, and that's Elaine. How you doing, Elaine?
I'm doing okay. How was Florida?
It was great, and I wish I was there again right now.
contaminated.
But I'm
What did you
not.
bring back with you?
Memories.
Memories.
Lots
Good.
Lots of memories. Yeah, we're going to get into this in just a second, I think, but the number of people who have shamed me for taking a family vacation are about to drive me bananas. So if you're out there and you want to write some evil comments about how clearly the bald white guy violated some social quarantine, you should understand that we rented a house. It was just our family on a private beach. We were quarantined. We were just in a different state. I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm just at my house again. So maybe back off of me a little bit. That'll be good. That's not direct. Stephanie. Speaking of Stephanie, we're joined by someone who's with us often, Dr. Kazanas.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Doing good. Happy and healthy.
Good. I'm sorry you witnessed Elaine trigger me like that, but she has that ability.
Usually Doug.
I do like the
Doug was
backdrop
just-
that you have, Elaine.
I was just
It's
triggered
like
because
an
I didn't get
Owen
asked to
Wilson
go.
thing. Well, you're not family. Sorry.
Your
We tried
mom
to
likes
make it
me.
official.
Your mother likes me.
Well, you know the truth there.
This is an interesting
What
turn
do we
we've
have?
taken talking about moms now.
Yeah. We won't do that to anyone else. So that'll be good. Today we're going to talk about something, but to be honest, I just printed off the notes. So Doug, take it away.
We're going to talk about confirmation bias. I mean, we're going to talk about why I'm always right about most of the things that we talk about, and you don't listen to me.
Quite honestly, I don't think it's bias when I confirm my suspicions, right? Obviously, I was simply right, and I found some evidence to justify my reasons for thinking that way. So what's wrong with that?
I feel like we need a little tally mark at the top. Like every time there's a confirmation bias. Ding. We'll add that in post. Don't worry.
Well, that'll be, with our incredible editing skills.
Well, now
This is what happens when
No.
Doug hosts.
now everybody's afraid to say anything. We're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, that's a confirmation bias.
Did you just give a thumbs up on your screen?
Well, you only have 2 emojis to do that. So
True.
I think they're just called emojis, not emojis.
The other one was hands
I don't know.
clapping, so I didn't know.
I think you can raise your hand too, but I can raise my hand. I don't know what happens. My hand's raised. I don't know if you see that.
I really didn't know what that one was. I thought that was clapping too.
But then
that
I can
makes
lower
sense.
your hand.
Yeah, but I'll put it back up. I've always got a question.
I don't see it.
See, every time I have a question.
Okay.
You don't see my hand raised?
No, I do not see your hand raised.
No, I saw Elaine.
Well, look in the corner of my screen.
There's nothing there.
No.
Maybe it's just something me and Elaine can see. So it's super secret. You wouldn't understand.
Especially, yeah, exactly.
It's pretty special. I didn't want to bring it up, but Elaine
It
and I
is.
we're really close. You probably wouldn't look at Doug's hand if it was raised, would you, Elaine?
No.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. So what is confirmation bias? We will defer to the expert. That's why we roped her into coming to the show. Dr. Kazanas, take it away. You've got another 42 minutes to fill.
Oh no. Well, what we do is we search for, or we remember things that cater to or support what we already believe or what we already value.
Yeah, and then we find evidence. Maybe evidence. Does this make you feel better if I do it like this?
Yes.
We find evidence.
You should always air quote evidence.
That continues. Yeah. And we'll do that to news, and we'll do that to facts.
Data.
And really the meaning of life.
Experiments.
My diploma, all of these types of things.
Jobs.
Poverty.
Oh, no.
A lot of these things are realities. I was actually talking with someone about this at our church. There's this debate, mask or no mask. I don't know if that's something anyone else is talking about. I'm pretty sure everyone all agrees, right, about that. But I hear a number of people say this phrase, so I'm pretty sure it became popular on social media. I trust science. Have you heard that phrase yet? Have you heard that phrase? Anybody use that phrase? It's my new favorite phrase.
Science.
I trust science.
Yeah, because I have no idea what it means. Because it means, I guess, you trust the science which verifies your belief system already. So we did a quick Google search on mutation of COVID-19, and I wish I had a screenshot of it, but I don't. But the number one hit was mutation in virus causes it to be 10 times more deadly. 10 times is the new number for I want to exaggerate because people need to believe me, and I'm on social media and I matter, right? So it's 10 times more deadly. The very next hit was mutation in coronavirus causes it to weaken. These are the number 1 and 2 off Google, and both are like, we're absolutely right. And obviously I chose the one that made me right, but the person I was discussing with, decided that theirs was right. So how do we navigate this, Dr. Kazanas? What do we do? How are we to determine what is real and what is just me wanting to be right?
Yeah, I think it was just yesterday. I was looking at some article that came out, and it had only just been published a week ago, right? Okay, so we say that it's published, it was peer reviewed at the time, maybe we should trust it, right? But now we have in psychology, we have in many areas of science, medicine is a big one too, these replication problems. And when last week's data come out and they look good last week, we don't know if they'll still be good data we should trust next week, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, when we know that things are changing, right? This is something, it's new, it's emerging. And so if your piece of data is something you agree with and the other is what others are agreeing with, neither of them might be right as of right now.
Yeah, and that becomes a huge problem for humanity, right? Because we desperately as humans want to know all the things we can about something, especially when we appraise it as a threat. If we see that this is dangerous, if I go to a physician and they tell me I have golden eagle-itis, I want to know everything about golden eagle-itis. I want to know, first of all, who gave it to me, because I'm going to punch them in the golden eagle throat. I want to know what's going to happen to me, and then tell me exactly what's going on with me. I witnessed this when my daughter started having seizures. I desperately, as a purebred American man, right? I want to know how to fix it because that's how I was born and raised, right? And I wanted the doctor to tell me, why is my daughter having seizures? And his answer was, well, it's idiopathic. And I was like, I think you're the idiopathic. And it's so frustrating when we can't know. So I think in a time where our society is already stretched thin with patience, here we go with, we'll go ahead and sit with the fact that we don't know a lot right now. It's really frustrating to me.
And it's really hard for us to be cautious for this long. I think it's stressful to be in this unknown state, and it leads to people to act out. And I think that's what we see. We see that maybe this is one way I can take control, and it's my little bubble, but it's just not the right thing to do now.
Well, the notes that
I noticed that
I had sent the other two that you're surprised didn't get, talks about how that there may be a correlation between anxious individuals and people that are more inclined to have this confirmation bias. Have you found that, or do you think that is a possibility?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that research, but I think it's easy to believe any correlation. What's that?
That research was performed by Nunya and Nunya in 2020.
Well, now, you know what? I can see how that could possibly be true, okay? In the class that I teach, the parapsychology class, we talk about research. And one of the things we bring up is that pretty much all research is wrong, okay? Because, and we've already touched on it, we are a society that once we're told something, we like to go, that's the gospel truth. If I came out with a study and said, hey, I did this study and we did 5-year study and it found out that wearing a face mask will also cause your ears to lower by 6 inches over 6 months and you'll lose your hearing, everybody go, that's true, you know, because we gravitate to take the first thing that we're told. Now, we set ourselves up to fail because we don't replicate anything anymore. You know, we talk about in class, a lot of the major cancer studies that were come out and said they had great discoveries, blah, blah, blah. When they went back and replicated them, even used the same doctors, they found only a few of them had the same promising results. And so I could see if you was an anxious person and you was very worried about something and you found this study that came out yesterday saying, yes, you're safe, you'd be like, I'm going to go with that for right now. But we need to keep in mind, you know, when I'm talking in class and we're talking about your critical thinking skills, the first thing you got to acknowledge is everybody's got bias, you know, and everybody's going to be biased to their own research and their own ideals, you know, like, well, yeah, this is true. You know, I did the research, so it's got to be right, you know. So
I don't want to push back, Doug, but I really don't think I have a bias. It is my job as the correct party to enlighten others of their errors. And so I'm really going to kind of push on you calling me someone having bias. Again, I'm just trying to elevate everyone else to my level of understanding so that they can have the assurance that I have. I don't think that's what we're talking about, is it?
Oh.
So there's an interesting phenomenon with confirmation bias that overconfidence is something that really plays into it. I think that's what we're seeing right now, but you know, I'm not 100% sure. I need more data, so I'll let you know.
Overconfident because he's right.
Well, yeah, no, I would say that I'm the exact appropriate amount of confident for this particular problem. I don't think I could be any more or less right, wrong confident as we move into this. And really what we're making fun of right now is probably most everyone who's watching and ourselves. We all do this. That's such an important role. My favorite movie by far, even if I didn't have kids, my favorite movie is the movie Inside Out. I just love it. It makes me cry every single time. It's a cute movie. there isn't a spoiler alert coming. However, there is a character named Bing Bong, aka Doug Hensley, who is writing on a. Oh yeah, no, Doug is Bing Bong. Don't be sad for Doug. That's awesome.
Oh wait,
Let's
he
play.
wins.
doesn't Dr.
Yeah.
Kazanas kind of remind you of Joy though? Can you totally
For
see
sure.
her as Joy?
For sure. And we all know that I'm anger. So let's just move on with our lives. It'll be fun. So Joy and Bing Bong are riding the train of thought, the train of consciousness, and they spill 2 boxes, and Joy says, I don't know which box they go in, and the boxes are labeled facts and opinions. And Bing Bong says, just put them wherever. People do that all the time. I love that line because it's so true. What can we do, right? If we know that we have bias and we know that other people have bias, what I'm seeing now, I've abstained from social media since around 2007-ish. None of it. But what I'm hearing in my therapy room is the route people are taking is yelling virtually through social media about how stupid the other side is. I certainly don't think that's the route. So what can we do? How can we help? If someone was watching this, what can they do to immediately start making a difference in their microsystem?
I think it's about listening to each other. I don't know if you guys have talked about cancel culture yet, but it's become
Not yet.
Okay, it's become a really big problem that we close our ears to things that we don't want to hear anymore. And what that's turned into is that we close ourselves to people much too quickly now. And so instead of listening to someone who has thoughts that are different than yours, we just say, forget it, forget you. And if we listen to others, maybe we would be able to check some of those biases and listen to other perspectives.
One of the things that
and for our listeners who have now been triggered that Dr. Kazanas would mention the term cancel culture as if that's a real thing, what I can assure you is that she won't be back on Psychthoughts anymore because the cancel culture isn't real, and we will not tolerate her opinion that cancel culture is real. So I apologize to all of our 10 fans that we've invited, obviously, this ill-informed person onto our show, but I am heartbroken in my error of judgment, and this won't occur again.
I mean, I can mute her if you want me to.
The fact that you haven't muted me ever is probably an indictment on your judgment and not hers. I cut you off, Doug. I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me?
I was just trying to move on quickly before we start getting the hate mail.
Mail's mail.
It kind of makes me think, I talk about one of the things that intrigues me is that there are a lot of people that believe the earth is flat. Okay. And I watched a documentary on it one time, and what struck me, and the point I want to make out of this is that he said, whose fault is it? And he's talking to this physicist, and the physicist said some of the fault lies on us. And he said, because think of it this way, when you ask somebody in school, you go, what's 2 + 2? And the person goes, 5. As a teacher, you don't go, that's the stupidest answer I ever heard. You're a moron, and give them all this. He said, we should go, why do you think this way? How can I, calmly show you what I found and stuff, instead of yelling and getting mad, that's exactly what, she said. We need to take time out and listen and talk about these things, not just get mad, yell, and then move on, because we're not learning anything, from that.
Yeah, I think it forces us to even further divide ourselves too. The moment that we say, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to listen to you, the conversation's over. You can't dig in a little bit more. At that point, it's done.
it's a rush to polarize, right? So we live in such a dichotomized society where we are forced to believe, I think sometimes, that the world exists on these two far extreme spectrums, when as I said as recently as last Sunday in a lesson, most people are okay people. Like, they're nice, they're well-intentioned folks, and we can evidence that by the fact that paint on the road is the thing that keeps them from swerving over and hitting you. And they don't do that. People aren't out to get you. Most people are good. It's an inherent belief that we have to hold on to. But we lose that when we get really hell-bent on our in-groups and our out-groups. When we have this idea that if you think differently than I do, then you are my enemy. I don't understand how to reverse this course. Again, I hate the direction of this polarization because we miss so much that way. In the therapy room, we talk about the muscle of humility. I may be right, you may be wrong, you may be right, and I may be wrong. I would encourage people to approach every aspect of their life with a level of humility. It's okay if you're wrong, and it's okay if you're right and people don't believe you. The truth is always the truth. Whether or not this part over here, this group over here who never want to listen to you, whether or not they believe you, doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. And that takes kindness, and we'll get really fluffy if we keep going down this road. But I do believe that. Like the fact that Doug's coughing right now, clearly. I think we should not even have him on the screen. You know,
he's got COVID-9.
What I have is, so I read that somewhere.
It's a very small strain. It came around in 2009. You probably didn't hear about it.
I don't know why y'all give me a hard time, because I am the most unbiased. And I admit that I'm wrong. I mean, it was in March the 3rd, 1982. I made my first mistake. So, I'm a very knowledgeable person.
Doug, that is a very specific date.
Tell us more.
We don't have time to get into that.
I will tell you more after we're done recording this show about what I think that date represents.
You remember that day.
Well, much like you, Dr. Kazanas, I had no chance to remember that day.
Nope.
Yeah, neither one of you were born yet.
Not yet.
Lordy help.
Which is another way that we divide ourselves, right?
Yeah, y'all hanging up on the old guy. That's okay. I can take it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Generational differences are another way that we're saying, I don't want to listen to your opinion either. It's terrible.
What'd you young people say?
Can you hear me?
Oh. You just got served.
No.
Oh. I don't even know where to go with that one. I will say again now, if you're offended that Dr. Kazanas makes fun of the elderly.
Also, I want to point out that she offended me, not you. And who gets to vote?
No.
You get to, don't you vote this year?
No, I don't. I am offended. I am offended on your behalf. A skill that I've learned from watching the news over the past 6 years. Because I think you might have been offended, I am raging mad right now, and I'm going to take it as personally as I can.
And you should tweet about it. That way everyone knows.
Well, how else will they know that I'm right if I don't tweet it?
Of course.
That's
right. While you're at it, take a picture of your dinner.
Okay, guilty of that.
You did cut out for a moment. Did you say dinner or?
Dinner.
What did you say? Dinner. Yeah, no.
Food.
You don't want to see my dinner. I don't want to see my dinner. I want to eat my dinner. what I want to do. Final thoughts. What do we got? Elaine?
I have no final thought.
You're thoughtless. I knew it. Dr. Kazanas, final thoughts. What do you got?
I think it's just about knowing we have these biases and being more compassionate, more tolerant, and that's okay. That's okay. Forgive and try to learn something every day.
Compassion, tolerance, forgiveness, all things that we would expect to hear from someone who is pushing her own agenda because she believes in a cancel culture. So you don't have to listen to her. And again, we're sorry. No, I couldn't agree more. Doug, what are your final thoughts?
I think it comes down to two things. You need to be like Derrick, or you can be like Doug.
Oh dear. And how would someone know if they were more like me or you?
Well, if they're having a lot more fun, they're more like me.
Oh, I have plenty of fun. I went to Florida.
That's the definition of fun.
It is the definition of fun. You go to the least magical place on earth, known as Disney, and call it fun. That is not fun.
Okay, I have to say this. I was watching this thing today, and it was talking about some of the most famous quotes from Eric Cartman off of South Park. And
Yes,
one
let's hear
of
them.
his famous quotes is, "It's a scientific fact. If it's over $8, it has to be fun." So
Disney, believe it or not, was the first time I heard a parent yelling at their kid because their kid wasn't having fun. And it was like witnessing a unicorn, because what I saw in that moment was somewhere there's a counselor who will have a client because of this moment. And I just felt so proud for that future counselor, knowing that they were going to be able to help this poor child. It was amazing. It was just, I mean, he was coming unglued. We're here to have fun, and if you're not going to have fun, we're just going to go home. And it's like, it's 112. I think going home is exactly what that kid wants to do. I'll take him, and I'll be good.
This is the way to end the show. Confirmation bias. Derrick thinks Disney is the worst place in the world because he went when the sun was 20 miles away, 190 degrees, and he hates it. And he's only been once. And I think it's okay.
In Doug's
There
camp,
is an
for
air-
sure. Disney is the most magical place.
I agree
Sorry.
with this research.
N of 2, so that's enough data for me.
Yet here we are with a replicated opposing results with 2 and 2. And again, I'm going to have to default back to my job to elevate the rest of the world to my level of thinking. And sorry, guys, Disney's not good.
I hate to say this, but you can't elevate the world to your thinking because you don't have Instagram or Twitter.
Thank you. I'll champion this for you.
There we go. There we go. That might be the first time we get fan feedback, is if we start making fun of Disney. Because I mean, you mess with the mouse, people lose their minds. You know, I don't understand it. I've been putting up a fence at my place in this humidity and in this heat, and I've had more fun building a fence by hand than I did at Disney.
Oh.
And less hot. It's amazing. It's amazing. Don't forget, we got into some kind of weird spiral at the end here, but we're talking about confirmation bias. For those of you out there who are still reeling from the insensitive comments of Dr. Kazanas that there is such a thing known as a cancel culture, we are again very sorry, and we'll purge her from our social media accounts in order to stand in solidarity. No, that's a real thing. Don't cancel Psychthoughts because we don't do what you want us to do. Share us with people that you like. Share us with people you don't like. Follow us on the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebooks, the emails. You can always send us a message. Psychthoughts@tntech.edu. There may be a time where we're in person. Then again, there may not be a time where we're in person. That's all from me. Doug, what do you got?
Nothing. That's it.
Dr. K?
Bye, everybody.
Elaine?
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.